it kind of flips it on its head when the bass is leading melodically in terms of the chord. But they always nail that thing really well. They can take like one thing and just do multiple iterations of it, and it kind of makes for different song sections, but they all feel really cohesive. I've always loved that about this band. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Low End University. Always is from blink-182's self-titled album, also referred to as the Untitled album, but it's their 5th release from 2003. It features the classic lineup of Mark, Tom, and Travis, and this marked a musical departure for the band. They infused some more experimental elements, and it was released around the time where pop punk and emo kind of hit that mainstream peak, spawning bands like Fall Out Boy, Paramore, Panic at the Disco. This is around the time I was in high school, and as I said when I reviewed Carousel a while back, which I hadn't heard, I did have a burned CD of Blink songs. I think it was mostly stuff from Enema of the State. I think I remember Damn It being on there, but anything past that, I don't know if I've heard it or not. This band was really ubiquitous on radio, maybe, but they aren't songs I really critically have listened to, and it's certainly been a long time. But apparently after this album came out, the band broke up, ending what many fans regard as the classic period of the band. So I've seen some requests for Always. I picked a track I didn't recognize. Let's get to it. Always from Blink-182. Cool rim shot thing there. Ooh.
I've been here before a few times, and I'm quite aware we're dying.
Just trying to think if I've heard it. I mean, sounds vaguely familiar, but if it has, it's been such a long time. I don't recall a song with a bass intro quite like this. This is very chord heavy, interval heavy. I really like the timbre it adds to the music. There's the feel. It sets up a really interesting atmosphere. I want to kind of hear that again because he's kind of doing what he did in Carousel. And I feel like these are two songs that really feature that same approach on bass. Let me hear it again, though. It was really draws you in.
I've been here before a few times,
walking down.
and I'm quite aware we're dying.
Kind of here in B major.
Your hands, they shake with goodbyes, and I'll take
Definitely hadn't seen this video.
if you have me. So here I am, I'm trying.
Lots going on bass back there.
Are you ready? Come on, let me hold you, touch you, feel you, always kiss you, taste you, always.
Cool. Man, I just love how the bass drives in some of these classic pop punk bands. It's what really drew me to Green Day. And like I said, I've heard Blink and Green Day. Those are the only two real bands I listened to from this scene. I just thought they were other rock bands. But the bass was always really interesting in what I'd heard. It was always very audible. And I know enough about Blink to bring out the P bass today with the tone knob open and a pick. What I like about this intro is that it taps into something I was talking about in a recent video, where when you're dealing with physics on bass, chords can be kind of hard. The lower you get in frequency, you essentially have to spread the notes farther apart for them to be have more separation, more clarity. Because if I do a major third interval down here, that doesn't sound like it does up here. That's the same thing. So on bass, there's this sweet spot where you can kind of get away with it, but you're kind of pushing the threshold on what becomes discernible. And the sweet spot on bass, I always feel like, is just from fret 2 on the A string, maybe up to like fret 9 or fret 10 on the A string. So this kind of range here. And when you do a power chord off of that, it sounds like a power chord, but it has this deep, rich beefiness to it that just sounds really epic. So like it's just low enough where you hear a little bit of that rub, but you can still tell it's a chord. And then when you get up here, you start going up higher, you're kind of in guitar land. So I find there's a sweet spot, and he's really leaning into that here. And what he's doing, he's kind of leaving off the bottom note of the chords. I kind of hear some G and D string stuff. Just kind of playing around with that concept. And it's substitute for a guitar doing it, but somehow adds this just richer, more epic thing. This song has kind of an epic feel. It kind of got into the chorus. I don't really recognize it. A lot of textures, and I can kind of see the experimental thing, I suppose. You know, it's not a sound I'm used to in Blink. Let me keep it going. It's really pretty. Yeah, he's doing something there, kind of up here. It's kind of outlining the chorus chord progression on bass for the verse, but it kind of flips it on its head when the bass is leading melodically in terms of the chords. It's a really simple concept, but they always nail that thing really well. They can take like one thing and just do multiple iterations of it, and it kind of makes for different song sections, but they all feel really cohesive. I've always loved that about this band. Yeah, kind of outlining. Same thing. A lot of these dreamy layers over here. It's really epic. I'm not even watching the video. You know, the drumming, I don't want to talk about it too much. Everybody knows Travis is great, but it's just really tasteful, and there's a lot of depth to that part right here. Just really well orchestrated. Oops. Kind of a cool shot there. I like the way this video is shot. So hearing this go through a couple times, I think this is the most important concept I could share about this song in this video. And I feel this theme happen a lot in the punk songs I do. And I'm thinking back to songs like Friends of the Enemy from No Use for a Name, even Idiots Are Taking Over from NoFX, Green Day. This concept is really worth sharing to me. And it's that you can take two notes on bass and just use the D and the G strings. And think about it like my bass note is going to be all the notes on the D string, and my melody is going to be all the notes on the G string. Just two notes. And I could play some examples. You know, like Carousel was kind of like canon and D kind of a progression. Something like that. Then you had like Idiots Are Taking Over from NoFX, where he has that triplet picking thing. And then the No Use for a Name song I just did a couple weeks ago, which is still kind of fresh. So they're all kind of using this concept. And what's interesting is that when you do this on bass, it sounds way more epic than doing it on guitar. Guitar parts are, people are used to hearing 4, 5, 6 note big chords. They have the range to do it. But on a bass, there's something really endearing about the simplicity from just using two strings. It's got a beefy tone. It's really full range, high fidelity. And it's just it's the whole thing leading this song. Where if I choose any couple of bass notes and then kind of put a melody on there, you could sit here for hours and write songs off of it. You know, just something like... You know, there's a whole song there, just making stuff up and just moving the bass notes around, kind of up a scale, and just choose other notes on the D string. You got to move your fingers around a bit, but this theme is kind of overlooked, and I feel like it spawned some really great songs in what I reviewed, and it just kind of dawned on me to talk about it. And that's essentially what he's doing there. Just doing different combinations of intervals. And, sooner or later, you can kind of extract a melody out of that, move the bass notes around. You have a really beautiful progression that just can only be exclusively epic on bass in that way. Just something I wanted to point out because that's primarily what's leading the song here, and it's a powerful use of the instrument. Ooh, must have missed this. I'm not really watching the video much. Love that pink bass. Hops. Cool. I love that shot. Here it is again. Yeah, just the way he's playing combined with that tone, everything's dropping out here, but you just don't lose that momentum because of what I've just said. It just has a fullness to it. Even him strumming just two notes there. Whatever. It's a really cool sound. I can't get enough of it, really. And the way Travis is drumming just keeps the energy up. Yeah, that's an effective thing. That little layer they're closing out the song with in the guitar, just going between two notes. Listen to that. And what's cool is that's just kind of like common tones between all the chords. They're just cycling between E and D sharp. But as the chords change under it, it kind of has a different context in each one, and it just has a way of tying it together. They're making this 4-chord progression really interesting. They're just taking a lot of the same ingredients and just really creatively giving them different life throughout the song. And I think that's the art to why their songs are so popular. There's just something really charming about the way they do that. And I especially just like the way the bass was kind of utilized in that same manner in the song. Just it's such simple but profound stuff at the same time to make a great song. I think a lot of punk bands that just have one guitar tend to make really good use of these two concepts I've talked about. Finding the sweet spot where those bass chords just pop and have this rich kind of depth just kind of draws you in. And then using simple intervals. You can't even really call them chords. A chord requires 3 notes. So using 2 notes is double stops, intervals, but it still has the fullness of a normal guitar chord. And I just like when punk bands use this in that way. All the songs I rattled off earlier are great, and they all kind of embody this approach. And as the song went on, that chorus melody does sound familiar. But as is the case usually when you hear these songs on the radio or out in the wild, the nuances of these bass parts really take a dedicated critical listen with headphones. I don't really remember it starting the intro. The chorus came in, and I know a lot of choruses, but it was cool to revisit this. I kind of forgot they had more of those experimental textures in their music. I know their earlier stuff was really just stripped down raw and intense, and that's kind of what I'm used to. But, Mark did the perfect bass move here. Chords, it led the song. But the most brilliant thing is just taking a few simple ingredients and being able to make 4 or 5 dishes out of it that are all really different. All in one song, it provides this sense of cohesiveness, familiarity, and they write great songs. You just can't deny it. So thanks to those of you who requested always. This is, pushing on later Blink I'm the least familiar with. Again, if you want me to check out and break down Mutt, I could use a revisit. It's been a long time since I've heard it, and it could be fun. Some of these really simple, catchy songs are all equally as fun to dissect in different ways than the really complex ones. So glad to get back to Blink. And again, Carousel, that was my first time listen. I still think about that bass intro. It kind of exemplifies these same things. But that's been always from Blink-182. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. If you'd like to support the channel further, come find us on Patreon. I do full album reactions over there and have lots of lessons for bass, resources, and such. And if you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. I love you all. We'll see you next time.